Welcome to the Marketing Pulpit Show, and I am Robert Gatewood, your host. We are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. We're not saving souls, we're saving businesses, saving jobs, saving our community. Now, if I happen to save a soul along the way, don't hold that against me. We'll just call that icing on the cake. Now, the mission at Marketing Pulpit Show is to build strong businesses in our community so that we can put our people to work. And we do that with business development, job creation, and service. So if you ever find yourself in a business crossroads and not sure which way to turn, just turn on the Marketing Pulpit Show because we're on a mission. The show is broadcast live from the illustrious Radio 1.
Welcome to the Marketing Pulpit Show, and I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. And we are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. Not saving souls, we're saving businesses, saving jobs, saving our community. That's what it's all about. Somebody's got to do it. It's a tough job. And I think we're up to the task here because I don't try to do it alone. I need your help, my guests, followers, and everybody who's a stakeholder of the Marketing Pulpit Show. I'm a business developer by trade. I've been doing this for 30 plus years in corporate America, and then as with my own company, Gateway Marketing and Web, and also the producer of this show, Marketing Pulpit. We got our started with Radio 1 about 14 years ago, and we've been humming along ever since, trying to make a difference out here as it pertains to building an economic foundation in our community that starts with successful businesses, employment opportunities, and providing community service. And that's what we're all about. That's our mission, our raison d'etre, our reason for being, and we're glad to be here on another Friday. This is the second Friday of the month, and we are glad to be here. You can find out more about the show by going to marketingpulpit.com, and you'll find the show there streaming live, and it's also on multiple platforms such as Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, X, LinkedIn, and just about any social media platform. We're streaming this show live as we speak. So you can go to your favorite platform, check us out. You can also check out past shows. You can find out more about me. I'm a business developer. I'm also a author, written a couple of books. I'm also a professor at Prince George's Community College, where I teach digital marketing, social media networking, marketing strategies, and just about anything pertaining to marketing. And so like you say, the young guys say, have a few receipts, but that's not to brag. That's to let you know that I take this seriously and it is part of what I do and who I am. And so this show is a manifestation and continuation of my mission of bringing this information to you on a weekly basis. Some things are so important that the inability to afford it is not a good enough reason not to do it. Some people have said they didn't think they could afford my type of services as a marketing consultant because the services are not cheap, but it's all relative. So I think it's important for you to understand the necessity for the services and why it's important that you have a marketing strategy. You understand marketing and the digital world that we're now living in. And so that's why I bring this show. I'm actually in the midst of teaching a course, a camp this summer at Prince George's Community College. And one of the topics is content marketing. Content marketing is basically what we're doing here every week. We're bringing you valuable information with the hope that you will be enlightened and understand the importance of these valuable topics. I'm not trying to sell my services. My plate is quite full, but I would like for you to feel that I'm a credible servant as I bring you this information, that I'm trustworthy, and that I have the skills in order for you to listen and go out and take some of the advice that I'm imparting upon you. So welcome again. You can, like I say, you can check the show out and myself on marketingpulpit.com. We have an exciting show today. It's also first Friday. It's not the first Friday, it's the first Friday we aired live. Last week we took a break for the holiday. We did a rerun, and we also took a break from the first Friday networking event, which normally takes place in Largo at BLE on the first Friday of the month. This week, it's going to happen on the second Friday So if you're in the DC area, particularly in the Largo, Prince George's County, Northern Virginia, Montgomery County, it's a good, it's worth a good hour or two drive if you in the area. Come on out to 9701 Apollo Drive in Largo, Maryland. You can still get here by 11:30. You get here by noon, that's still fine. And we have a great networking event. Have people coming from all over the place. And today we're going to have a special guest, Mr. John James, going to talk about wealth building. He's a financial strategist, and he's going to be sharing information today. Of course, Ms. Bernadette Clay, the owner of BLE Executive Suites, which sponsors this show, she's going to be there talking about the law of attractions and just giving some solid advice on what it takes to become a successful business owner. And she is in the embodiment of that. She has their 3 locations of the BLE Executive Suites, one in which we broadcast this show virtually, and we also have in Largo, Maryland, and we have one in College Park, Maryland, another office in National Harbor. So if you want to be successful, sometimes you have to do what the successful people do, or at least hear what they have to say. So I'll be there also emceeing the event. Of course, I'm Robert Gatewood, the voice you hear on Radio 1 on the Marketing Pulpit, and I've been doing this for quite a while. So come on out if you're in the DC area. Also, if you haven't already, join the Marketing Pulpit Business Directory. Go to mpi.bz, and you'll see the show, and you'll see how you can get your name in the directory. We have people joining this directory from all over the country. For instance, this last week we have Drew University, a very popular university out of Madison, New York. They joined our business directory. Out of Vacaville, California, we have Photo Booth near me. They just joined. Out of Jacksonville, Florida, we have First Class Foot and Ankle Clinic. They just joined the directory. So you folks in the DC and North Carolina areas, you need to get on the ball and step it up and jump in this directory so I can shout you out and drive business to your Facebook pages, your Twitter accounts, your Instagram accounts, your TikTok accounts, and of course your websites. And it's free. You can free join as a free plan. And if you want to get promoted, like on the radio show and things like that, we do have some other plans, but there is no fee to get your name shouted out once you join for the first time. So that's the business directory and the first Friday. A little sad news, we lost another radio great this month, Mr. Coach Butch McAdams. He's a sports analyst, and he spent many years on Radio 1. I've seen the coach. We run into each other often over in the Radio 1 world. He was a coach, also former coach, and cared greatly about the children, the kids, and making sure that they got off to a good start. He was a frequent guest on the Joe Madison show as well. And of course, Joe Madison passed away this past January. And he was also spent many years at Radio 1 as well. So it's been a tough time for the radio world, and our condolences go out to the Coach Butch McAdams family, and join me in wishing his family well as they go through this difficult time. Let's see here. In addition to the first Friday that's coming up today, July 12th, also in August, we're going to be showcasing caterers. So if you're a caterer, if you are a chef and you want to get showcased in the August first Friday, I think they still have room. I'd have to confirm that, but call over at BLE Executive Suites at 301-322-1700 and see if you can get your name on the list as a caterer that we will showcase you and introduce you to the DC area. It's a great opportunity, and Miss Bernadette Clay is offering this to the chefs and caterers in the area. And that's going to be on the first Friday in August, which is August 2nd. Once again, I'll be there along with Miss Bernadette Clay and many other engaging and exciting business owners. So if you got that cooking bug, come on out and let us blow you up. I want to say good morning to a few people. I see Miss Colette Jackson. Good morning, Dr. Jackson. I see Chairman Bradley Thomas. Glad to see you back, Mr. Thomas. I was over at his wife's memorial service this past Saturday. Great, great outpouring of dignitaries and friends and family. Man, it just felt like a homecoming. Great time. And thank you, Brother Bradley, for coming back to join us today. And once again, our condolences to you and your family. You're still in our prayers. And Miss Terry, great, great, wonderful person. And she will be missed. Good morning, Mr. Brown, greatest plumber in town. Glad to see you this morning. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. If you're tuning in for the first time, welcome. If you're one of our regular listeners, thank you for joining, and thank you for supporting the Marketing Pulpit Show. Over the years, we're in the month of July. There's a few observances this month. For instance, on July 9th, we celebrated Black Women's Equal Pay Day. And on this day, we highlighted the fact that the wage gap for Black women compared to non-Hispanic white men is 60 cents on the dollar. 66 cents. Now marinate on that for a minute. You're doing the same work, putting in the same hours, same credentials, same job in many cases, but the pay disparity is 66 cents on the dollar. These wage gaps are unacceptable. Black women continue to be underpaid, and undervalued. And not only that, they are overrepresented in jobs that lack important pay protections. America, we can do better. And we're going to continue to push this as we have over the years on the Marketing Pulpit Show. That should be this pay disparity is just totally unacceptable. Also, this is National Simplicity Day. It's celebrated on July 12th to honor of Henry David Thoreau, who was a proponent of simple living. So it embraces simplicity. Matter of fact, that's going to be my marketing sermon today. Slow down, focus on things that truly matter in life, and don't make things so complicated that should be simple. Some people just make things so much harder than they need to be. I may have been one of those persons at one time, but boy, I have embraced simplicity. Maybe it's something that comes with age. I don't know what it is, but we're going to talk about it and why it's a problem. Some of the benefits of simplifying your life. We're going to talk about that coming up. And this is important, particularly when it comes to marketing and business development. It's making it harder than it needs to be. I came upon this through meeting and working with some very amazing people over the years that really took this simple life approach. And simple does not mean cutting corners. It means don't make it harder than it needs to be. We're going to talk about that coming up later. There's also a few other observances for the month of July. It's Family Fun Month. That sounds like fun. Family Reunion Month. It's National Anti-Border Month. Wow. That's a bore. National Black Family Month. National Hot Dog Month. And I love a good hot dog. Woo. National Ice Cream Month. Well, I like that, but can't eat as much of that as I do. Shouldn't anyway. Make a Difference for Children Month. That's something to get behind. National Picnic Month, and it's also National Purposeful Parenting Month. Those are some great observances. Let's talk about a couple of items in the news. And boy, the news just keeps coming in. This next story really is a heartbreaker about this young rookie who had just signed with the Minnesota Vikings. He and two of his former football players were killed in a car crash in Maryland, right here in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. Largo is a subdivision of Upper Marlboro, right down the street on Pennsylvania Avenue. And it's made national news. Mr. Kyrie Jackson, 23 years old. He was also with Isaiah Hazel and Anthony Litton. They were all killed in a fatal crash. And the early reports is that it was due to someone driving while intoxicated. They showed pictures of the automobile. It really was a horrible accident. And boy, I tell you, sometimes bad decisions can just impact so many lives. I don't have all the details, but I'm just reading what the initial reports were, that there was a case of a young woman, 23 years old, who hit the Dodge Charger that was carrying Kyrie and his friends, and their car left the road, hit a couple of trees, and it was really demolished. So condolences go out to Kyrie and the other young men and their families, and just don't, if, whether it was driving drunk or not, whatever the case may be, don't do that. There's Uber, Lyft, all these different options you have. And I understand the accident took place at 3 in the morning. Tell you, boy, there's an old saying: nothing good happens after 2 o'clock in the morning. So just be careful. Be careful and mindful, and remind the young people out here that to definitely be careful out there and leave that alcohol alone, especially that time of morning if you're going to be driving a car. Here's an interesting story. A radio station in Washington State, WURD, fired one of their hosts, Andrea Lawful Saunders, after it was reported that she was fed some interview questions for the President Biden's team in advance of an interview last week. So they sent her 8 questions that she was to present to the president, and she chose 4 of them. She did the interview, and she was later dismissed in a statement by the president of the radio station, Miss Sarah Lomax. She said this was not without their knowledge, collaboration, or consultation with the WRD managers. Well, sometimes you get the story, but you don't get the full story. I'm sure the station and anybody involved was probably happy as a clam once they realized they had gotten the interview. Only after this blowback did we start hearing about the policies and so forth. I'm telling you the truth, it's not that unusual to collaborate with a radio guest. We invite guests on this station many times, but I will say, when you start talking politics, the rules do apply. They're very, very strict. I remember we had a situation, I think during the Donna Edwards campaign. One of the co-hosts invited one of his rivals onto the station. I mean, I was a Donna Edwards fan myself, so I didn't. But this other guy was invited, and of course, the folks at Radio One were not too happy about it. So we had to actually reach out to the Donna Edwards team and tell them to come on the show, and they just couldn't make it, but they understood, and they thanked us for extending the offer. But once again, it's not unusual to collaborate. Now, you may not get the exact questions, and many co-hosts and hosts would not be told what to say and not to say, but it's not unusual to collaborate to some extent. Sometimes you're massaging what topics, what you might talk about, what you might not talk about. But I think in this political season, particularly with President Biden under the spotlight, it's just one more thing that people are just blowing up out of proportion. Personally, I don't think the lady should have been fired. I think she could have been reprimanded, but it seems a little overreaction, as so many things in the political world. This interesting story, very interesting. A group of students in Malvern, Pennsylvania, attacked their teachers on TikTok. A group of 8th graders in a public school set up fake TikTok accounts impersonating the teachers. One teacher who had never used TikTok in her life found out that the students had created a fake profile, posted real photos of her at the beach with her husband and their young children with the caption, "Do you like to touch kids?" and a response in Spanish that said, "Sí." In the following days, some 20 other teachers discovered they were victims of fake teacher accounts with pedophilia, innuendo, racist memes, homophobia, and made up sexual hookups among the teachers. Jesus, help us. Hundreds of students soon followed, viewed, and commented on the fraudulent accounts. Of course, the students were reprimanded. I think they were suspended for a brief period of time. But can you imagine that? You're a teacher out here, coming to school with this immaculate reputation. And some kids have you out here on TikTok in racist, sexual positions. Boy, I tell you, that's why, like I said, I teach social media. I teach digital marketing. And one of the things I was surprised yesterday when I was talking to the students at the end of the class. One of the last things I talked about ethics. And it wasn't, I think the thing that kind of surprised me is that the surprise look on this and dismay on some of the students' faces that I was even bringing it up. And I'm not saying that they were surprised in a negative way, almost like pleasantly surprised. It's like something they've heard for the first time. We have to do better as educators. We have to bring ethics as part of our curriculum and tell these young people what's permissible and what's not. You just can't pound education and knowledge in their heads without giving them some type of guardrails. This is a horrible, horrible story. And I really feel for the teachers who were involved. AT&T has revealed a massive data breach. People are just hacking into these phone systems and this is terrible. AT&T said that nearly all of its AT&T mobile phone users, which is tens of millions of people, were exposed in a massive hack back in 2022. And they just announced it on Friday. Is that like 2 years ago? I wonder why 2-year delay. Here's a story from the bizarre world. A Georgia woman faked a pregnancy to get 7 weeks of paid time off. I'm not even going to go there. I'm going to leave that one alone. Here's a good question. Who is using AI tools at work? It's estimated that 1 out of every 10 jobs in the U.S. is facing a disruption due to artificial intelligence advancement. So it's not surprising that some professionals are looking to stay ahead of the curve. According to LinkedIn, some professionals are more likely to be leveraging the technology than others. Professionals in product management, marketing, hey, wait a minute now, and consulting are more likely to be using core AI products. I will admit, I do use AI to some extent, but this is my advice to people who are using AI. Use AI in the field in which you have expertise. In other words, if you're not a doctor, don't be out here trying to give out medical advice because you got it on AI. Okay, if you need to use it to organize and cut out some minutia, then I think it's okay. What's interesting is the professions that are least likely to use it. Military, protective services, and legal professionals. They haven't jumped on board yet. And I can understand they're probably still trying to work out some of the legal ramifications. The last news story we're going to talk about before we get to our sermon for the day is pandemic babies are behind in school. Some of these children that were conceived prior to the pandemic or were affected by it in their early formative years are lagging behind. They're having a tough time keeping up. Childhood teachers and pediatrics who've been interviewed say the children in this group are less likely to have age-appropriate skills such as holding a pencil and managing their emotions. And this can be attributed to, according to some, to the pandemic. When parents were home, they were stressed out. A lot of these kids were not able to interact with other children. So it's starting to manifest itself in school right now. Let's take a quick break. We're going to come back. This is the Marketing Pulpit with Robert Gatewood. I'll be back in a moment. We're going to talk about keeping it simple and why your business survival, or at least the success, may depend on simplifying things. You're making it harder than it needs to be. This is the Marketing Pulpit. Don't you go anywhere. I will be back in a minute. So hang on. Welcome back, and once again, we thank our sponsor, BLE Executive Suites. If you're looking for someone to answer your phones, you need a business address because you don't want to give out your home address to a bunch of strangers or have a bunch of weird people calling your house or chasing you down, contact BLE. And matter of fact, mention Robert Gatewood from the Marketing Pulpit, and they have a special for you. Just tell them Gatewood told you to call 301-322-1700, or you may know someone who's trying to get their feet off the ground in business. One of the biggest benefits I've discovered at BLE is this ability to network with other business owners. I get more business out of this building than I do anywhere else in the world because I'm bumping into folks in the elevator, I'm bumping into people in the parking lot. We go to the networking events together. It's like a big family over here. So you can enjoy that also from one of their 3 locations, one in Largo, one in National Harbor, and there's a hub zone in College Park where a lot of government contractors have called their home. Also, I thank the folks at Radio 1 who were instrumental in getting this show off the ground. Miss Kathy Hughes over there, Miss Karen Jackson, Mr. Ron Thompson, the engineer, Alonzo. Thank you guys for really making this show possible and getting us off the ground back in 14 years ago. All right, let's talk about our topic for today, keeping it simple. First, I'm going to ask yourself, and you know who I'm talking to, are you making things more complicated than they need to be? Yes, I'm the poster boy of that. That used to be me. And this may be one area, for better or worse, where folks who are not as smart as you, and we have some smart people out here, somebody who's not quite as smart as you may have the upper hand on you because they figured out how to simplify things. You think about that for a minute. So why would somebody do that? Why in the world, as complicated as life is already, why would somebody make things more complicated than they need to be? I'm going to tell you some of the reasons. Sometimes they're character traits, things like perfectionism. If you're a perfectionist, you're striving for perfection, you overanalyze, overcomplicate simple tasks, and try to make them flawless. That's one person that does it. Another person who may lack confidence in their abilities. They try to overcomplicate tasks to make it look like they're more knowledgeable than they are. When you get confident in yourself and you have that self-esteem, and then you're less likely to do that. Also, people who have a fear of failure, they overcomplicate things, or a way to delay in making decisions or taking action out of fear of failure. Sometimes it's a control issue. They need to control, and they use complication as a means of controlling tasks and micromanaging things. So those are some reasons that people might go down this road of complicating things. But when you do this, you're wasting time and resources. You're confusing and frustrating people. You're being less productive. You're reducing your creativity because you're spending a lot of time on minutia and things and time that could be used in creativity. That's what I told my students yesterday when I was speaking to them. I said, man, get some tools and use that creativity, that wonderful brain of yours, and don't spend all this time working on complicated issues that can be handled by technology and tools. And sometimes burnout is the result of overcomplicating things. You're just you're making more work for yourself, more communication than you need to communicate, all kinds of things. Now, when you decide to take this approach of keeping it simple, you start to see clarity when you start to make things simple. You start to see efficiency when you decide to make things simple. You see customer satisfaction when you decide to make things simple. Customers don't want all that confusion. You get more innovative when you decide to make things simple. And you're more adaptable. Things are more flexible, like changing marketing conditions and things like that. When you simplify it, you're more nimble. You got a big old machine that's immovable. It's going to be very difficult when conditions change on the ground. So how do you do it? How do you do it? Well, let me give some points here. And thank you, Colette, for the comments. She says, Yes, all of those things equal wasted time and resources. You're exactly right. It's how you make it simple. Focus on the core activities. Identify, prioritize the most crucial aspects, and concentrate on optimizing them for efficiency and effectiveness. Streamline the process. Just look at any process in your job and just look at the steps. Are all of those steps really necessary? I think about when I first started teaching, I used to do this sales course. I would talk about the benefits, and I would talk about the objections. I was thinking about the closing. And so I'd give this long dissertation on sales. Now one day it dawned on me that was really about two closing techniques that really, really worked for me. And there was about four different ways of overcoming objections that really, really worked for me. So I took those and they became the signature parts of my sales presentation. Nobody wanted to sit there and go through 50 different ways to close or 200 ways to overcome an objection. You give them the basics, the foundation, and let them go out and find the one that works best for them. You have to communicate clearly. That's another way of keeping things simple. Use straightforward language. Don't try to fluff it up to show everybody what a big vocabulary you have. Don't add unnecessary words and steps. Make it simple. Also, embrace technology. I know some of y'all are old school. I think I confuse people sometimes. This old dude, what do you know about technology? Well, I got in on the ground early. I was at Livingstone College. We didn't even have a computer. We were drawing boxes and doing if-then flowcharts. But it sure has made life simple. A lot of people call me all weird times of night and morning and noon. And I don't mind helping people, really. Most of them, some are clients, some are just friends, family, and they call Gatewood. He got an answer for you. Because I did embrace technology. I did it early. But I'm willing to share it with others. But at the same time, I want to tell you, don't run from it if it's making your life complicated. You don't have to embrace everything. Look at the tasks that affect you in your everyday life at work or at home and embrace that part of technology. Make sure it's safe, that you're not, look at the settings, make sure you understand what you're doing. But technology will help simplify your life. Prioritize simplicity in design, whether it's a marketing plan or strategy or business development. Don't make it so complicated, because really, when you think back over the plans that you've written over the years, didn't you actually, when you really got down to it, you only implemented about 4 of the 10 that you actually that was on the page? Well, anyway, don't even put 10 on the page if you're only going to do 4 of them. Focus on getting the right 4. Simplify it. And of course, get feedback from others. There are some people, smart people out here. Some people have been down that road that you're about to go down. It's okay to run it past somebody, somebody who you trust and who has the skills. You can call into the show. We have actually an open line. You can go to the Marketing Pulpit page. There's a button up there, and you have a question on any topic on any day. Just run it past us. We'll put you on the stage. You're not gun shy. I mean, stage, if you don't have stage fright. All right, well, folks, thank you again for tuning in today. This is the Marketing Pulpit. I'm here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. We got this name, Marketing Pulpit, to honor my dad, who was a Baptist minister. So this is not a religious show. This is a show that helps people succeed in business, and you can do somebody a favor by sharing it with them, particularly if they're in business and they're struggling or they're trying to grow. And also, like I said, I'll be teaching next week also at the college a course in social media marketing. Great group of young people. I'm telling you, boy, I'm starting to have faith in young people again, based on that group that I've been working with this week. Some are recent high school graduates. One guy from Morehouse University, he's about to become an attorney, and the young people are out there, it's up to us adults. It's up to we adults to show them the way. And that's what we do right here on the Marketing Pulpit Show every Friday at 10:30 a.m. On that note, we're going to wrap it up. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And as always, if you want to be successful, you have to do these three things. Do the right thing, do it at the right time, and you have to do it right. Enough talk. Let's get to work.
One cup of greens per day will lower your risk of dying from heart attack or stroke by 30%. Hallelujah. A half a cup of beans every day will drop you down by another 30% because of the fiber and the medicines in the beans will sweep away the cholesterol and the saturated fat. Half a cup of berries per day with all of the antioxidants and flavonoids will drop your risk down. And then finally, a fourth of a cup of nuts and seeds every day will drop your risk down by 33%. You simply eat those foods every single day and take everything else away that's destroying you. And we could eradicate heart disease, high blood pressure, and stroke. Glory! Hallelujah.
Register today and get ready for your health revolution.